Hey up guys, Richie here from Hobbies Hobbies. Welcome back. Part number 3 of my F-35 build. Let's get started. Alrighty, so flowing on from part number 2 last week, we're now on to this. We did this part basically, right? Got the cockpit tub done. Now we're going to continue with the assembly. Before I do that, let's do some mail time. Just before I film this, got a couple of packages arrived. So, firstly, I got this guy. So I got a second one because I got them at an awesome price. Like I'm picking these up right now for about 58 US dollars. Now this is, if you see this video, don't ask where I got it at this price. It won't be available then. So I got such a steal. I bought another one because there's so many great markings and options in this one. So I'm thinking about doing an Australian one, number 2. So we're definitely doing aggressor for this one. But if I build this in the future, I'm thinking maybe do the Aussie one, either probably in beast mode or maybe stealth mode. But we'll figure it out when the time comes. But so I've got a second one. Because for $58, that's a steal for me. So I might even get more of them because it's such a great deal for an awesome kit. These are the F-14s, man. I could do these every day. Saying that I haven't built this one yet, finished it, but I'm just enjoying it so much. Being Tamiya, typical Tamiya fanboy. So I got myself a second kit. Also, got this guy in the mail yesterday. Now, what's the story with this one? So this arrived in the mail, which these are decals, by the way, which we'll look at. And walked in the house like in the evening, started to make dinner, getting dinner ready, and this was in the kitchen. And I was like, I need to get this. I can't cook or like slosh around in the kitchen with this around. I'm gonna ruin a decal, spill something on, some water on it, or something, some food or something. So I thought, let me put it somewhere safe. So whenever you do that, you always forget where it is. And so today, I turned this whole house upside down trying to find it everywhere. I even went through my trash can. Recycling went out today, so I thought maybe I accidentally found a recycling bin. I went through my trash can outside, emptying the bags and checking for this. Every single room, like for checking everywhere, and I couldn't find it. And guess where it was? It was down the back of my trash can in my kitchen. It fell down the back of it. I think what I did was I left on top of the trash can. This is why I finished up cooking. I think maybe the kids opened the trash can, put something in, it just fell down the back. So lucky I found it. Didn't have to spend like another $15 or so on a second set, which may be sold out now. Who knows? So we've got decals. So let's open them up and see, because this is going to help me determine what we're going to do for this part number 3 here. So here we go. So it's aggressors now and then, and okay, so sorry if it's a little chop cut, but I talked about the decals and I gave some bad colors out. So I just want to correct myself and edit in this, the corrected after some research. So here are the decals, CalRocal decals 48228. And aggressors now and then. So we got an F-16 and F-35, which we care about, and a couple of MiGs in here. Just see the MiGs back here. The colors. Give some FS numbers. Nice looking F-16. But we care about this guy right here. So what basically is the usual camouflage gray, but it added in a lighter gray, which I thought was Arctic white. But doing some research and looking at some pictures, which was Arctic white's 311. It's just they're right with theirs. They're saying FS 36495, which is guns 338. And looking at pictures, that looks a pretty good spot-on color. So I'm going to trust them and go with this. So E is going to be 338, a lighter color, which on the underside looks like it's going to just be gray, just the upper side and the tails there. Camouflage gray, I love using the MRP. I think it's a really good color. It's hard to find a good camouflage gray, but which is FS 36170, but MRP 280. I've done this on the 72nd scale F-35, and to me, this is just the perfect color. The lighter color is Guns 306, as I mentioned before. So here's the decals. Here's the colors I mentioned. I kind of misspoke and mentioned the wrong color, so I just want to edit this in. So they're the colors we're going for. So so this scheme is going to be the 338 guns, lighter color with the usual camouflage gray. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to do in this part. And as the fire truck goes by. So we did these 2 pages, first 2 parts, and number 6, intakes. So we get work on the intakes, And the point here is they got crazy mixes going. LP 14, 7 parts to 59 1 part. That basically, to make it easier for you, is going to be FS 36270, which is guns 306. So if you have the LPs, fine, you mix it. If not, just go guns 306, or that's the FS number for the light part of. And so if I kind of pull this in, the call outs, you can see that all the light parts, it's going to be the 306, and all the darker parts is camouflage gray, FS 36170, which I'm using MRP 280, which works really well, I think. So 280, I think, is a really good color for this, and that'd be darker parts. So you got your light and your dark, and obviously the camo color we talked about, the lighter one. So when it says 14.7 and 59.1, if I get my pencil, it's basically just going to be guns 306. So pretty much white, and paint the intakes white, and then you're going to spray the front side this gray color, and then we're going to paint it obviously before we put it together. It's going to be a lot easier. We're going to build all this. X1 is your black fan blade, so we can go through pretty straightforward, and the intakes, and then we're going to do the weapon space. So as I mentioned before, we're going to do air-to-air mode because we're doing an aggressor, which is going to be B. So drill a couple holes here on each side. That's all we're going to need. It's going to circle the instructions. We don't need any of these because we're not doing beast mode or anything like that. Now, this is where it gets fun. It says here, applied, maybe, sorry, next page itself. But so we're applying several parts. You've got painting going on around the edge. Normally, you'd paint, we put everything together, paint the weapons bay, put it in, mask it, put some foam in, then paint the whole fuselage. This time around, what caught my attention was the next page. Right here, it says, if depicting weapons bays open, apply the decals first. So if we're going to apply decals, obviously we need to paint first. So what I'm thinking is, because the shape is such, it's so be tricky to mask, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this. I'm going to prime it, the whole area around it, maybe like a centimeter out. So I'm going to prime it, and then I'm going to paint it the fuselage color, which is camouflage gray. Hence why I want to look at the instructions, the decals, just to make sure the markings. So I'm going to paint it all camouflage gray, and then and come back and paint page before. You're painting your 1 and 2, XF1 and 2, is your black and white paint parts of painting. And then I'm going to apply the decals and clear coat it and stuff. And then what we'll do is, when we get further on and we actually paint the whole aircraft, we'll just mask that whole section off and just blend it in when we paint it. So I'm going to paint, not often I do that, but I'm going to paint this one, I think, first. I'm going to paint it first and then bring in the weapons bay underneath it. There's no masking involved. So paint the upper side, paint the fuselage, and then the weapons bay painted, and we'll just sandwich them together. Job done. Mask over the whole square. Easy. And we'll just paint the rest of the fuselage at the very end. That's my plan. We'll see how it goes. So, so 10 weapons bay. It's just detail painting. It just shows you all these different colors. I think SF3 is red, maybe. Yellow. So all these different cables you're painting. Paint the whole thing white, and we're going to paint all different cables. Various other parts coming in here. There's an engine we're going to paint too. And bring some pipes in. Working through again, weapons bay paint section 14, 15, more parts bring into the fuselage. That's why I mentioned we're going to paint this first, and then just drop it in. And then again, more details, and we'll bring it up to 16 in this part, where we'll sandwich them together next week. So, a lot of work to do, a lot of detail painting, gonna be a lot of fun, but I think that's my plan. So, like I said, I want to paint the thing first, and then we'll the fuselage first, then bring in the weapons bay, and we'll see how that goes. And hopefully we can just blend it in with the rest of the paintwork. It's all one color, so it shouldn't be a problem at all. Cool. So that's the game plan. So let me start cutting up these intakes, get them off the sprues, getting kind of masked up, painted. We'll paint the whole thing white first, then mask it, and then paint a dark grey afterwards. So that's the game plan. Let's get going. Okay, so moving on nicely with this one, and just a quick little update. Be painting some stuff and kind of show you where I'm at. So intakes, I've painted, obviously, as always, I primed in black and came back with a coat of white, as I mentioned all the time. Not a thick white, just kind of lightly misted on, so you get some, looks more realistic, I think, gives some kind of natural weathering. And what's kind of cool too is they actually have lines molded in the plastic away the dividing line between the grey and the white. So there's no guesswork with the the masking, so it makes it pretty easy here. So obviously we're going to mask and paint them separately. You know, trying to mask it all together would be a nightmare. Although not impossible, I guess. But see that lines here, and there's a line right there too, which will make it super easy for us to mask and make everything easier. Also painted this little guy silver. This goes on the fan blade. So that's that sprue done. This guy we put together right here, the engine number 11, just a grey color inside. It's an LP34, which I don't have, so I just used, I can't remember what I used, some grey. You're not really going to see it, and I'm not too much of a hung up on colors. So this one's put together in spray grey. Fan blades. This one wanted a mixture of brown and gunmetal. I just used dark iron guns, to be honest with you. Again, not that you're going to ever really see this, probably. And this guy here was black, gloss black, X1. And this is what the silver part I just showed you goes on there. Painted separately. This little guy, and I'll just go like that. I might give it a little dry brushing too. So that's done. This part, again, light black, lightly sprayed white. Just these two areas, which I think can be visible, and the beautiful weapons bay. And again, primed and painted white, just nicely thin coats, and to get that kind of weathered effect. Now, after going backwards and forwards, a lot of these parts are white, the same color. So I figured, you know what, rather than like paint them separately and add them on, which is a bit of a pain, I glued them all together. So the parts I highlighted, C11, F11, I think are the only two which are different colors. There's a couple, yeah, there's a couple others, C7 as well. Everything else is white, so I just assembled it and just hand paint the parts. I think it's the pipes and stuff. It'd be a lot easier that way. So that's painted, just ready for detail painting. And what I'll do is just like what I did with the nose gear bay on part number 1. I'll just come back these pipes which are also white. I'll just hand paint them white with a different shade just to kind of pick it out and make it a little bit more visually appealing. Not that you're really going to see it because mine's going to be on the ground, so it's going to be face down. But if you ever pick the aircraft up, you'll see all this stuff. So hand paint these, and then lastly to talk about the bottom of the fuselage. So I primed it all. Like I mentioned, I'm going to paint all this, and then what we'll do is we'll paint it, and then I think it drops in something like that. So you see, if it's all painted, there's no masking to do. It's already pre-done for us. That might be an easy way of doing it. So painted it, and I realized there's the same as we did in part number 2. There's a clear part here with some silver behind it. So just sprayed them behind it with some silver paint, let it dry, and then these have 2 little bits masked, and the clear part went on top, and then I just sprayed over black again, which will be the fuselage color. But at the very end, once the whole thing's built, we'll just take these little masking pieces off, and it'll reveal clear lens on each side. Fingers crossed the mask tape does its job. But yeah, that's it. Quite a lot of work actually yesterday getting to this part. A lot of little pieces assembling. The detail you see is amazing. It's out of the box, not resin or anything. It's going to look really awesome once we pick out the colors and the pipes and the wires and that kind of stuff. So that is really it. That takes us through pretty much all the assembly we need up to 17, which we're going for. So now it's just a matter of detail painting it. So I'm going to get to work off camera and start just hand painting using my Vallejo paints, all the parts. I'm also going to mask up the intakes and paint the grey, which I think the lighter color we said was, I think 306. And yeah, we'll paint those up and then we can start assembling everything. So cool. So I'll be right back. All right, plodding along here. A few things I've noticed which I'm going to call out. On the side, I painted it obviously first. There's some side panels that go in here. G7 and G4. Now it makes sense. Rather wait to that step 18, just do it right now. So you paint it all as one. So they fit in really well and just glue them in. Unfortunately, I painted it first a little bit, so it's not quite flush. But anyway, so that goes in like that. And spoiler alert, I painted this, which we'll talk about in 2 seconds. And just to show you the fitment here, how great it is. That seats that you got the panels in the side. It just makes it a little bit easier for the old painting further on. So panels in first. These parts here need to be black. So as I primed it black, I'm just going to mask them off. The rest of the outline is going to be white. So you got to paint all the white on the inside. You can see all this. So I can see I primed the inside too. So all white, white. Obviously these 2 parts black. Also on this guy, this bit's visible. So remember to prime and paint this white as well on these 2 on the outside. And then you see I've hand painted it all up. And pretty good. Still not got a little wash here, but nevertheless, looking good. As I did in part number 1, the whites and stuff. Just Tamiya XF2, I think it is white. Man, the pipe is slightly different. I just used hand painted. I think I used Clorox white, just like by Citadel, it's a slight off white, and just hand painted the pipes and some other details I picked out with ceramite white. Ceramite, yeah, white. Again, just picks out some visual interest there. You can see how the pipes really kind of, not super bright white in your face, but they just pop out a little bit. And it does make me laugh because this is a highly classified brand new aircraft. So the fact these color callouts and stuff, I would take them with a pinch of salt because I'm not sure exactly how detailed Tamiya got with the Japanese F-35. But nevertheless, painted up a little bit, some visual interest, and looking pretty good. So yeah, again, as I was going through, just picked out a couple of things. Again, painting the outside white as well at the same time. I'd have to do it obviously retroactively, just paint that in. And yeah, the sides definitely pay attention. Those two bits leave black, we'll mask them off, and all the inside needs to be painted up white. Painted up this guy too, obviously, same thing. Just picked up white and a little bit of wash later. We'll pick out some more detail. Picked up the fan blades, no problem at all. And what else? One more thing, and that is the intakes. So I've glued one, no problem at all. Very good. And as you can see here, I want to talk about the masking. So again, I'll just use my paintbrush to paint it white, and you see it has that line in here, which helps you with masking. So this one's easy, just mask straight across. This one here is a different shape, and with the angles, one piece of masking tape just didn't work. It was too crazy. So I used 3 different pieces of masking tape. Masked down, one down the side, one down this side, and one down the middle. And that was easy then. Yeah, if you try to wrap one piece around the whole 3 sides, it just doesn't work because of the angles. It just gets twisted and stuff. So that's really it. So I can go ahead now. I just want to show you that before I put it together. So I put that part together, and spoiler alert, when these do go together, at the back here, the blade, I think it's this guy, you're not going to see at all the fan blade back there. So don't waste too much time painting or detailing this because it's not going to be seen. Yeah, even with a flashlight, it's around the corner behind, it curves, so you're not going to see it at all. And nevertheless, we did it anyway. So there we go. So I just want to point out those few little things. The main thing too, though, is just help yourself out. Do the side panels, like I said early on, and we'll mask these 2 parts off. All right, let me get going on some more work here, and I'll be back with my next little progress update. Okay, so working through this, you see I painted all outline white, no problem at all. Those 2 little pieces are black. As I mentioned, masked off, painted all the insides white. These parts are important too, and all the inside just light coating. And also, see, I've glued in the engine back here too. Things to note, couple things to note with this. Firstly, I'm kind of, this is also my first time building this kit. I'm just kind of, as I pick things out here, you're kind of learning with me, obviously, and I'm making, I'm kind of backtracking on some stuff. But F-18, this part right here. This decal, you've got to apply to the part before you put the pipe on in front of it, because you can't get the decal behind the pipe otherwise. Not a huge deal. I just cut the decal in half and just put the top part in. You're not going to see it rest because the pipe's there anyway. So that's one thing to note. And as you remember a few minutes ago at the start of the video, I mentioned about this section was kind of interesting, how you have to put the decals on first. Remember this bit? And I mentioned how I'm going to paint all this and blend it in and put the decals on. When I actually thought about it and went through these instructions, it just means just apply the decals for your first before you apply the doors, basically. So that's not a problem. So it should just, instead of saying apply the decals first if depicting the open weapons bay, it should say apply decals before you apply the doors. So that's no problem at all. And what we can do now is, so we don't need to go ahead and paint the color and stuff. We can go ahead and put this on the inside, build it all up. Build this all up like this, and what will happen, these such a great fit. If I place one of these doors on here, I can just loosely tack it. Then we can just paint over the whole fuselage in one go, and then when we take the doors off, it's going to leave the white line inside, which you want to keep on the black part. So it's just a great fit on these. So that piece and this guy right back here. I've tried a couple, and again, perfect fit. So once these pieces are placed in, we can just paint it and then remove it, and then it will leave the white line perfectly placed. And obviously paint the white lines first, because you don't have to worry about any spray or anything, because once you're adding it afterwards, it'll be a pain to mask it. So paint it white, add this, and then eventually, before paint, where the doors, a little blue tack or a little PVA glue or something to hold in place, spray it all, and then take it off, and we're good to go. But again, the decals, we don't need to paint all this and do the decals right now. We'll do it at the very end. We'll just make sure we do that so the decals run down the middle before you apply these doors in the open position. Because if they're like that, obviously you can't get the decals in. That's what it's kind of going at, I think. But we're almost there with this part. I'm just going to go ahead and put these last few pieces together, glue them all in place, added decals. It's all looking good. We'll glue them in place, add a little bit of a wash, and we'll be good to go. All right, so in the midst of a bunch of gluing here, and you see with the various clips, this wasn't easy to get the front end in here. It fits obviously perfectly, but it's a lot of like holding pressure, holding glue in certain areas, taking your time with this one. But it is a perfect fit. Just trying to get all lined up with no gap is a key. So just, just as I say, I've got clamped in certain positions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a nose weight down here. This is the best spot to add it. And I think I'm just going to add 1/2 ounce. It's my usual fishing weights. I'm just going to add a lot of glue. This is just Gorilla Clear glue. I actually love this glue. It takes a while to go off, but it's super strong. So I'm just going to, it's getting low in the bottle. I'm just going to run a little bead all around it. Oops, it's dripping everywhere. I'm just going to throw it in here. Just kind of, there we go, down the bottom here. It's just towards the front end. Another 1/2 ounce. It says no nose weight instructions, but as always, I just add a little nose weight just to give it a little bit more heft and just take away any uncertainty away from it. But that's going to grip pretty good overnight. It's the evening now. I'm about to go to bed, so I'll just let this one stick overnight. So I'll leave that there. And you see I've put this guy all together, and it's looking absolutely beautiful. The weapons bay, amazingly detailed. Obviously, still need to weather it, just with simple, wash, and but looking really, really awesome. So I'm just going to put tons of glue on here again. Some clothes pegs, just clamping it down in certain areas, glued all around it, the pins. I'll make sure it's strong, and there we go. Just a thing of beauty, which you're not going to see, because when it's on the table, you're not going to see a thing. So I'm going to let these two things dry overnight, really dry well, and then we'll bring 2 fuselage halves together, which should be no problem at all, because what I've seen from this kit, it's a pretty good fitting kit. So we'll glue them together, and then we'll add a quick wash to all this, and then we'll be good to go, wrap this up. So quite a lot going on in this part, a lot of work going on, main assembly, a lot of fun, a lot of detail painting, but again, just 1/2 ounce nose weight, just to be safe. Throw down the fuselage. You saw where I put it. The nose, there wasn't really much room down there to work with. Cool, so let these dry overnight. I'll come back in the morning and finish this bad boy off. Okay, so you can see we got it together, the whole fuselage put together, and looking pretty awesome. Now, it wasn't a piece of cake by any means. Well, fit was pretty good. I mean, very good. Just the front here just needed some clamping and some holding in place to glue it, just to get it kind of fit nicely. But there were real no gaps. There's a little bit here and there. Just needs sanding. We'll just take care of that. Just a quick sand. And you can see how beautiful that weapons bay is. It's just so well detailed. Now, there's certain parts that go in here. I'm looking around. I don't have them in hand. So other parts that go around here, but that's going to have the doors open. Because I mentioned when the doors are closed to paint, there's 2 types of doors, should I say. So you got closed doors or you got the open doors. So we're going to put the closed doors in so we can paint the whole thing without masking. We can take it off, and then we'll put the painted open doors in afterwards. So there are areas still to go on here, and different clamps and stuff, different areas. But nevertheless, it's looking really nice and detailed. And again, this is out the box for a kit. This is no aftermarket, no resin, nothing like that. This is what you got. So I did give it a quick wash, like I did in the nose gear part number 1, just to use your Avatar Long Starship filth. Very, very weak. Ready any paint, a little bit of mineral spirits, enamel thinners, should I say, and just dabbed on and just pick out those areas, and it did a really nice job. Just type a little bit of grime and just pick out some more detail. So very happy how she's all looking, and there we go. Now I did find a couple of things on the instructions. So firstly, this bit here needs to be painted white, so we've got a clear part to go over it, which we'll talk about more next week. But these 2 parts of the front here on each side, we've got clear parts to go over it, which are B, 3, and 4. And you can see the world's smallest masking tape on top, just to kind of hold it in to mark it. So basically, it'll go in there, and it'll, again, more reflection sensors or whatever they are. Now, B3 and 4 are not in the instructions. Now, I've gone through the instructions at least 4 or 5 times carefully, and I can't find. So they've omitted it by error. So what I've done is I've painted silver behind them on each side, the same silver we painted in the other areas. As you see, I masked on these guys, and then next step will just be to glue these clear parts on before we paint the fuselage. So what will happen is when you peel off the masking tape here, it will reveal the silver behind it. It's a game plan. So again, that's not in the instructions. I looked for the correction sheet as well, and that's just missing. I couldn't see it. I might be wrong, but didn't see it there. But you see, it's a really nice looking aircraft. Just a really good size too. Not massive, but not tiny. Just nice detail. And actually pretty enjoying this one a lot. So that's Cake Shot Speed. We got the whole thing put together. I'm glad it had a little bit of nose weight too in this part. Just give it a little bit more, weight to it, and so there's no worries about tail sitting or anything like that. So we're looking good shape. I think the game plan is to next week come back and really kind of get this put together, ready for paint the week after. So next week we'll just be finishing assembly, the tails and all the flaps and like flapperons and leading edges, all that kind of stuff, and we're getting her ready for paint. But thank you for joining this one. Like I said, it's a bit little disjointed, but we're just kind of figuring it out. This first time I built this kit, but I think I got a good way of doing it. And like I said, paint the thing white basically around the edges here, and then drop the weapons bay in afterwards. There's zero masking to do, which is awesome. So have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.